Say, Doc, I have been eating healthy. I eat only fruits and vegetables. I eat healthy fats like nuts and I eat avocado. Why am I not losing weight? Because he heard on the internet and a dietitian told him several years ago that those are healthy fats. He's also been told that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, which, by the way, is another myth and doesn't make any sense at all. Welcome to your daily health briefing. I'm Dr. Albert Tackett. This show is here to help you navigate the complex U.S. medical system, one step at a time. Whether you are decoding a new diagnosis, fighting for a referral, or just trying to stay informed, you are in the right place. Let's get into the science. Jamal comes to see me for an office visit, and Jamal is very distraught. He tells me, Doc, I have been grinding in the gym. The last 6 months, I go to the gym 4 times a week, and I've been exercising, lifting weights. I run on my bicycle 3 times a week. Why am I still not losing weight? So I asked Jamal, how about your diet? He said, Doc, I have been eating healthy. I eat only fruits and vegetables. I eat healthy fats like nuts and I eat avocado. Why am I not losing weight? So Jamal is confused, but Jamal is not alone. I have heard this question over and over in my clinic. So I decided to break this down today to provide some clarity because, let's face it, the world of weight loss is full of a ton of information, but sadly, very little knowledge. So let's dive into the science. Let's look at weight loss and use Jamal's story as a segue. So what really happens when you are trying to lose weight, like Jamal? The first thing people always do is go to the gym to work out. Good. But I always tell patients, slow down. You can go to the gym, but it could be an absolute waste of your time, at least from a weight loss perspective. The gym has a few important factors that we need to take in mind. The first is mental health is great. Some people like being with other people, working out, listening to music. It's part of some people's way of operating. Secondly, it is good for your cardiovascular health. Every time you make your heart pump and work, it's good overall. But where the gym fails many people miserably is with weight loss, because people usually have a strategy that is not appropriate for their goals. So let's go back to Jamal. He's grinding in the gym, goes 4 times a week, and I asked him a simple question. Jamal, how many calories do you eat a day? Oh, Doc, I don't know, but I know it's not a whole lot. I know it's not a lot. How many calories do you burn when you go to the gym? Oh, Doc, I don't track it, but I know I grind. I know I work hard. So I had to tell Jamal, listen, studies have shown that people usually overestimate how many calories they burn in the gym, and they grossly underestimate how many calories they're actually eating, right? Because when you're in the gym, for instance, you get on the treadmill. And I see this a lot when I go to the gym, the few times I go, because I have a home gym. But I see people walking on the treadmill on their phones. Some people are walking on the treadmill, writing emails, and consequently, they are going slow. Dear friend, just being on the elliptical or the treadmill itself does not mean a thing. The real question is, how many calories did you burn on the treadmill, right? And so let me bring an important fact. If you're on the treadmill, make sure it's at least 30 to 45 minutes, and then track the calories. For it to matter, I always tell my patients, try as much as you can to burn between 300 and 500 calories, because the goal is creating a caloric deficit. I'll get to that in a few minutes. So, Jamal, how many calories are you burning in the gym? I do not know. So, Jamal, what do you do in the gym? Oh, Doc, I spend 15 to 20 minutes on the treadmill, and then I hit the weights for about 30 to 45 minutes. Again, this is where Jamal is wrong. Because, think about it, resistance training is short bouts of activity. The caloric expenditure you can expect from resistance training is less than what you would expect from aerobic activity, right? If you're working on a treadmill and you're going 30 minutes, 45 minutes an hour, you're bound to burn more calories on that, as opposed to short bursts of activity using resistance training, of which a lot of us are not even well trained to A, do the resistance training accurately, and B, do it hard enough to actually make a huge dent in our weight loss goals. And then we come to the most important part. This is the part Jamal missed. He said, I eat healthy. And I've told patients many times, if there was a word that I wanted removed from the English dictionary, would be healthy. Or better still, if there was a statement, it's I eat healthy. Because, dear friend, it makes no sense to say I eat healthy. The question is, what are you eating? Look at Jamal. Jamal showed me what he eats a day. He was snacking on peanuts. He was snacking on almonds because he heard on the internet and a dietitian told him several years ago that those are healthy fats. He ate a lot of avocados. Every day, 2-3 avocados, because he read somewhere that healthy fats in the long run help you lose weight and make you healthy. So this is poor Jamal packing on 600, 700 of calories just in snacking without even knowing. And on top of that, he's eating his regular breakfast, lunch, and dinner because he's also been told that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, which, by the way, is another myth and doesn't make any sense at all. But that's a topic for another day. So look at Jamal putting in all this effort, grinding in the gym, but missing out because his diet does not reflect a caloric deficit. He's still eating more than what he's supposed to eat. And we calculated his resting metabolic rate and total daily energy expenditure, which, simply put, is the total amount of calories your body needs in a day to function, and he was getting more than that. So this is a secret, friend, as we stay in the science portion of this podcast. Every time you give your body a single calorie it doesn't need, guess what your body does with that? It turns it into fat, slaps it right on your belly, your thighs, or your behind, or your jaws, or the neck. That's what happens with weight loss. The body does not have a storage tank of calories. When you see fat, if you can grab fat around the belly, on the arms, or anywhere in your body, look at it as fuel being stored. Your body takes all excess calories you give it and turns it into fat as a storage form of energy that is fuel for future days, preparing for a rainy day that in America never comes, because we have way more food in America than our bodies need. So this is the situation of Jamal. Jamal did not know how much he ate. He did not know how much he burned in the gym. Consequently, he didn't even know if he was creating a caloric deficit. But poor Jamal was holding on to slogans. Go to the gym, work out, eat right, eat healthy, and you will lose weight. Words that, to him, meant everything, but clinically and scientifically really mean nothing. Okay? So let's get into part of the story that is the doctor's responsibility. Because we talked about Jamal and his misguided approach to weight loss, but this is where we healthcare professionals are letting down patients. I am not putting the blame on Jamal. I am putting the blame on myself and my colleagues because we have failed patients. We need to sit down with patients and give them a real framework of weight management. We need to sit down with patients and develop the courage to tell patients that weight loss starts with calorie consciousness, regardless of what you've been told. I don't care if a dietitian told you if you reduce your caloric intake, your body goes into starvation mode and you will not lose weight. That makes no sense. Let me tell you, dear friend, If I took a rope and tied you to a chair and left you there for 1 month and only gave you water so you do not die, and I came back after a month, what would happen? Now, in between, your loved ones would probably kill me or get me arrested. But let's assume for the sake of argument that none of that happens. What do you suppose I will find when I come back? I will see you 20, 30 pounds less because you ate nothing. Then pray tell, why doesn't starvation mode then stop you from losing weight? Why do we see pictures of Holocaust victims who were starved by the Nazi regime? Why do we see victims of other catastrophes, human catastrophes, famine? In Gaza, for instance, children who have been famished and looking like children who have been famished, who haven't had food for many weeks, because the starvation mechanism breaks down when there is not enough calories and your body has to use all its fat and then start going after muscle. That is the story. Does that make sense? So let's help Jamal. We professionals, healthcare professionals, let's stop telling patients that calories don't matter, because they do. Caloric consciousness is an important part of weight loss. Number 2, let's give patients evidence-based data. Don't tell patients things like, if you eat less, your body has glycemic spikes and then you stop losing weight. Makes no sense. Eating less, better still, eating an amount of calories that is less than your caloric needs a day, helps your body use stored fat to help you lose weight. Let's tell patients things like exercise is very important, but more importantly, consistent exercise is important, and doing the right type of exercises to help your body burn fat are important. Let's give patients actionable information and not blanket statements that do not help them. This one is on us healthcare providers to work with the patient as allies to help them achieve their goals, okay? So if you're not getting this kind of advice from your doctor, make sure you ask him to provide you evidence-based information to help you lose weight. And if someone is telling you things that are different, check out the data, okay? And always remember, clinical trials produce results. Real life shows whether those results are true in your own life, okay? Now, I know you will tell me, all right, Dr. Taikem, you've gone on a tirade here. What has that got to do with me? I'm a guy in the DMV trying to live my life. I have this belly fat I want to lose just like Jamal. How do I get rid of it? I'm glad you asked. If you remember anything from this episode, number 1, going to the gym in and of itself is not going to help you lose weight, brother and sister. What matters is when you go to the gym, check how many calories you actually burned while there. Number 2, when you're done with the gym and you're home, check how many calories you actually eat in a day and make sure that the total amount of calories you expend in a day is more than the total amount of calories you give yourself in terms of food, so that you create a caloric deficit which your body then has to make up for by burning fat, and then when you step on the scale, you would have lost weight. And number 3, make sure you get evidence-based advice from your doctor, from a dietitian, from an exercise physiologist, from a personal trainer, and all of that. Make sure you listen to the advice, but check it. Because people many a time say things that they do not understand themselves, okay? And that is why people like Jamal get confused, okay? That said, I hope you found this episode interesting. And if you have questions, ask me at your next appointment or ask your doctor, wherever you're listening or watching this episode from. But I'll see you at the next episode, because the fight for adequate patient health care doesn't stop here. See you next time. This has been the Daily Brief. Medicine is not about certainty. It is about responsibility. Decisions are often made with incomplete information. but they are always made with your safety in mind. In a system that can feel rushed and fragmented, you deserve clarity, continuity, and an advocate who sees the whole picture. I am Dr. Albert Taken, your physician ally, high-level science, human-level care. I will see you at the next briefing, or I will see you in the clinic.